Hello, my name is Chris, as you probably know, and if you are new to this channel, my name is Chris Igboka. I have been posting topics which have been of interest because I've been getting feedback from members of the public and my followers. Although the pace is slow, but we are getting there. Thank you very much for your support. For those of you who have been in contact asking to know why I haven't been posting recently, thank you very much. I have taken a bit of a break and I'm back now, ready, steady to give it the best we can. This particular topic, it is specifically to address the issue in the media, and that is a comment made by Mr. Nigel Farage of the Reform Party that when he gets into office, not if he gets into office, he will be dealing with people with indefinite leave to remain, and there will be deportation, there will be is promising to revamp the immigration system, and that has been giving people a lot of sleepless nights. Majority of them have been contacting me, some of my clients, asking to know what this means for them, especially as they are still renewing their mission to stay in the country. I was particularly concerned, but then again, it is my job to try to explain what the immigration rules means and how it will impact majority of my clients. And I can assure you, we are here to address your concern relating to immigration. Let's just say an individual being removed from the UK. There are immigration rules that apply to your immigration status in the country. I will mention this to start with. Every foreign national who is not a British citizen, who hasn't naturalized and has not been granted permanent resident status, is referred to as people who are subject to immigration control. When you are referred to as a person subject to immigration control, it means that the Secretary of State, i.e. the Home Office, can decide whether you come in or you go out. It doesn't mean you become a prisoner, it just means you have to comply with the terms and conditions of your immigration status. For example, a student who is here pursuing the further education, there are rules and there are conditions attached to that student visa. If you break the rules, there will be consequences. For example, if you are a student, you are not allowed to work full-time during the term time. Say, for example, school time, you are not supposed to be working full-time. You may be allowed to work 20 hours per week as a student. And at the same time, you are supposed to be able to prove that you are attending classes if you have to physically attend classes. So this is an example of people who are subject to immigration control. They have to comply with the terms and conditions of their immigration status. People who are here as a work permit holder also have conditions attached to their status. For example, if they were granted entry clearance or say work permit, they must work with the employer for whom they were contracted to work, and they must meet the conditions attached to that status. So every status you have as a foreign national in the UK, you must comply with the rules. Where you breach the rule, you'll be given opportunity to explain why you breached the rules. If, for example, you are married to a British citizen and 1 year down the line, your relationship collapsed and your spouse or partner contacted the Home Office to say, hello, our relationship is collapsed, we are no longer in a relationship. Home Office, upon that information, we do what is called curtailment. They cut short. If you were already granted, say, 3 years or 2.5 years, which is the standard length of time you are given as a spouse, they will curtail it to say 6 months for you to stay in the country. And you'll be allowed to explain reasons why they should not remove you from the country since your relationship, your marriage has ended. And because that marriage is the basis for which you enter the UK in the first place, so they will give you the opportunity to tell them why they should not ask you to leave. Because you are no longer married to the British citizen, the relationship is collapsed, so therefore there's nothing else for you to do in the country. They will expect you to leave. So in that case, you simply contact a solicitor and seek advice and then put your version of what happened to the Home Office. And of course, they will deal with the case based on the information from you and what you have to say for yourself. So for every permission you're given to stay in the country, there are conditions, there are rules. That is why immigration is rules, not law, because they can be flexible. We normally say, come on, leader, there are laws in pencil. So you can erase it and put another one. So immigration rules are put in place to allow the Secretary of State to manage immigration. I hope that helps you to understand the issue of when Home Office can remove somebody. And there's more reason. For example, if you committed an offense, you went to jail and you were given a conviction of say about 4 years. Yes, at the end of that, the Home Office has power to say you are subject to automatic deportation, i.e. you are no longer a person that can live in this country. You are to be removed to your country. And to deport you, there has to be a deportation order. It is not made lightly, but if there's a deportation order issued against you, it means you must leave the country, and the Secretary of State has power to detain you until such time when you are deported. And you will not be able to come back to the UK until after 10 years, after the deportation was made. I hope that has helped. There are so many bases on which a person can stay in the country. For example, there are people who came here when they were about 6 years old, and they came with their parents, and that time immigration rule was not as draconian as it has been in recent years. And of course, let me say one thing now so that there's no misunderstanding. The Secretary of State or the UK has the right to regulate who comes in, who stays in the country. Every country has that fundamental right to determine who can stay in their country and who cannot stay. So the fact that you've been here for many years is not a license to expect to be allowed to stay. However, there are rules in place under immigration power whereby you can always apply to the Secretary of State to either ask for permanent resident status or to become a British citizen, which is called naturalization. So one of the questions people ask is, can the Home Office remove me from the country just because I'm on benefit or because I'm no longer working? And as is currently in the media, Nigel Farage is said to be saying he will overhaul the immigration rules, and people who are on benefit will be removed from the country, or people who are indefinite leave to remain will be removed from the country. It is not as clear-cut as that. Why? We should be grateful to the founding fathers of this great country. They put a system in place, and the fundamental right of every individual who comes to this shore, who comes to this country, is recognized in law. So yes, it is political talk about what he will do or what he will not do. It is not clear-cut. Whatever decision is made about removing people, it will go through the proper process. The rule of law is well established in this country and is respected. In fact, this country is a role model to many countries around the world. The rule of law is the foundation of civilization. So if the Home Office made a decision to remove anybody from this country, that person will have a right of appeal. Even when somebody is being deported and they are being issued a deportation order, there is a process for that person to challenge the decision. And if that person is successful, the deportation order may be revoked. If a person is to be removed and they appeal against that decision by the Secretary of State to the tribunal, an independent body, and that person is successful, the Secretary of State will have to obey the order that the court has made. So it is not clear-cut that a politician or the future minister, prime minister comes in and starts kicking people out. Until we get there, I cannot tell you whether that will happen or it will not happen. But what I can assure you is any decision made by a public authority can be judicially reviewed, i.e. a higher authority will look at the decision made by a minister or a government department, and they will check whether that decision is within the law. If it is not within the law, it can be challenged, and if you are successful, the decision maker will be asked to reverse the decision made. So there is due process to deal with any decision made by a minister, even the prime minister. So it is not cut and dry. Don't start panicking. Don't get yourself into a frenzy. Seek legal advice. The system is robust enough. If you have any issue, if you have any problem regarding your immigration status, seek advice and go to a qualified advisor who can tell you what the law says. I hope that has helped. Under immigration powers, if you are in the country, there must be a purpose, there must be a reason why you are here. And if you came in either as a visitor, as a student, as a spouse, or to join relatives, everybody is expected to be documented. It is not because the UK is playing the big brother, they're monitoring everybody. It's just that so that allowance and provisions can be made for each and every one of us. For example, if you are living in a community and you have children, they will go to school. So there has to be provision made so that there is a place for your child to go to the local school. And the same thing, you will have to get medical treatment, you register with the local GP. So by saying people should regularize or register or make sure they are here legally, it's so that provisions are made for everybody. That is the essence of immigration. Because if you are here and you have no status, God forbid you crossing the street and you got knocked down, and they discover you have no status, the first question is, who pays for your medical treatment? So when people talk about immigration, people need to understand the reason behind the immigration rules. It is put in place, it is flexible, it can be adapted, it can be changed to deal with changes in circumstances. So immigration rule actually is a very useful part of administration that any country put in place. If people just come in, cross the border and get into the country, the supply, the services supply, the resources will be under pressure, will be stretched beyond limit, and taxes will have to be raised to pay for that. That is the primary purpose of having immigration rules in place. For example, the carnival is going on in Notting Hill, and you are living in Birmingham, and you say, oh, I'm coming to see the carnival. Can I stay in your place for just 2 days? And I say, okay, fine, that's great. Now you came for the carnival is finished, 2 days has gone, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, you're still in my house. You're not showing any sign of going back to Birmingham. Of course I want to know why you're not going back home. That's exactly what immigration is all about. If you came in for any purpose, you have to be documented so that provisions are made for you and for people already here. Because if you're in the country, you're not working because you don't have immigration status that permits you to work, how are you going to feed? How are you going to clothe yourself? How are you going to look after yourself? This is why immigration rules is important. People just need to understand what the rules are and how it applies to you, depending on your circumstances. So immigration is not a bad thing. It is when it's being used for ulterior motives, just to incite hatred or create fears in the community. Immigration is about managing resources, managing people, managing what they brought to the country, making sure everybody is accounted for and they're able to contribute. Because if you're not working, but you're collecting benefit, those who are working will want to know why you're not paying to the coffer, but you're collecting benefit. It's as simple as that. If you are unwell, and as a result you cannot work but have worked before, of course the system is there to provide for you. That's why there's national insurance contribution. So whatever situation you find yourself and you're in this country, all you need to do is seek legal advice, seek help. Don't just keep quiet, don't just listen to rumors and gossip. Seek advice. When you seek advice, chances are you will be assisted to go the right way to resolve your issues. So far, I think I've tried to cover as many of the questions that have been sent to me following the press conference or news in the media about what Nigel Farage planned to do regarding immigration. If Nigel Farage coming into office is a good thing for this country, we should all embrace it. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you next recording.